I'm going to show you in this video how to develop this exact product page inside Shopify, specifically inside Replo, a page builder. It's a page builder app within Shopify. In my opinion, it's the best page builder you can use. And I'm going to show you exactly how to build this. This got a lot of attention, traction on my Twitter, and I want to show you exactly how we build it step by step. And I'm going to start immediately right here. We're going to start from the product image carousels, work down to the reviews, to value props, and then work to the right side of the actual buy box. And I'm going to start out by just building the basic layout of it. And then we'll focus more on the actual design, making it look pretty. But I just want to show you how to build it just from its basic form first, so you know how to do that yourself. So first, always going to start out with the container. And then let's use the component that's product with carousel. A lot of the components we'll use is already native within Replo. There's just a few things that we're going to be adding and tweaking. So I'm just going to hide that to product description because it's a bit too long. And in this example here, if you already have your product images set up in the back end, like within your Shopify, all of this is going to be dynamically set. So you don't have to really change anything per se for the images because it's already going to be set up, right? So all these 4 images are the native product images corresponding to this peppermint eco bomb product. This in this video, I'm just going to show you how you would do it if you want to manually set it for custom images that's not linked to your Shopify. So this is the harder way. If you already have it set up in your Shopify, don't worry about this because it's going to happen dynamically with just one image here in the slide. So real quick, let's just make sure that the product is set. Image, let's get rid of that because we're going to set this manually. And let's also get rid of current item right there. We'll set this fill available with. Let's also get rid of the slide component as well. And for now, I'm just going to manually set an image just so we have something going on. I'll just hit this one right here. Okay, cool. So from here, what I want to do is just duplicate these just so we have 6 images just as fillers. And again, I'm going to work on the actual designs and actually getting the right product images set up. This is just to set up the basic foundation of it. So let's just copy and paste for the carousel indicators. These are just little thumbnails showing the different images there. So cool. The last thing I want to show is setting this to active state, where when you're scrolling, for example, notice how there is a black border around it that indicates that particular image is active. So from here, what you want to do is just hit on parent states, current item is active, that particular state. Now let's just go to border and let's just add a border around that. So then you can see real quick that there is a border around those. Now you might notice that it's not filling completely. What you want to do perhaps, and again, this is a little design stuff, but I want to just make sure that things are dialed in here. All right, it's much better, right? You see that when each one is active, that black border radius is present. Now the last thing is you'll notice that the left and right arrows, the previous and next buttons, are overlaying. There's 2 ways you can do this. The easy way is simply just adding some margin. Adding it right here, let's just say minus 20 pixels. And the same thing here. Let's just add minus 20 pixels so it overlays over the product images. Another way you can do this is simply just by using relative positioning and then setting it to center, left, and then we can get rid of that and then have some sort of offset. Let's say like 20 pixels or even minus 20 pixels, right? There's different ways to do it. There's no one right way to do it. It's completely up to you how you want to set that up. And real quick, just to set a background, because we have a yellow background with that, so we can quickly do that right now. Grab this, set it there. And what we did here was just setting the parent container as centered. That way, everything inside it is going to be centered, justified center there. And let's also set a border. Let's do 100% so it's circular, right? And then you'll notice that the actual chevron is white and it's a bit smaller, so we can actually change it up to using this one right here. And from here, we can maybe make this 35. Let's also get the positioning up to a 5. And the reason why that works is because the image carousel right here, there's a positioning, relative positioning. So you just want to make sure that the Z index is overlaying whatever it is. So we could even set this at 1, right? The higher the number, the higher the priority it has for the overlay. So we'll do the same exact thing here. Set that up. We want to wrap the content. Fill available spans the entire height that's available there. We just want to wrap it because it'll wrap with whatever's inside there. Cool. Then we also set this to 35 as well. And we'll worry about the specifics afterwards, but right now it's just to get the basic structure down. I think we also had a border radius of 1 as well. Oh, I forgot to set this. Cool. That looks solid. It's good enough for now. Awesome. That looks pretty good for now, right? And if anything, we can set some padding on either side. Just going to clean that up a bit. And if you notice that maybe this is a little centered on top there, what you can do real quick is just making sure that. Okay, so if you want to set these indicators to be centered for the main image and not the entire container, what you want to do is this, and try to follow this as closely as you can. What you want to do is, we have this container right here. We want to move these buttons alongside the carousel slides, like so. Then from here, we want to separate all of that with the carousel indicators. So basically, those two are going to be separate entities or containers. From here, what you can do is set this there and set that horizontal layout and then set this vertically. So all we did was set the main carousel as vertically because there's two containers or two components, the main image and the carousel indicators, right? And then as far as the actual structure of the first component, which is the main image, we have the buttons, the carousel slides, and the other button as well. As simple as that. Cool. Next part is going to be the reviews as well as the value prop buttons. All right, so all we did here was just setting the positioning for the buttons. I didn't like how there was some spacing there. We set the images, the actual images for the main image, right? And then we also fixed the gap situation. The default has some margins. I just want to get rid of that. And then now what we're gonna do is just set the actual thumbnail images as well. So from here, let's just copy and paste it. Let's keep it super simple. And we're just gonna duplicate these. And then we're just gonna copy and paste just to make this a little easier for us. Cool. I think we got everything. Awesome. So now from here, we'll see that everything works as it should. The only thing that I see missing is going to be the active states. Because we foolishly did not set that, right? So what we can do, and a lot of times you're going to have to, unfortunately, go back and fix things. So we'll just do that ourselves here. Okay, cool. Now you see that everything is set and linked. So that's how you do that. All right, so now I want to go over the review box as well as the value prop icons here. So once we have let's make this smaller real quick. Okay, cool. So we have the carousel here. We have the right buy box here. So what we want to do is instead of having the carousel as the main container, we want to add another container. And the reason for that is because we want to house other elements under the left side as well. So we do that by setting fill available width so it doesn't look crazy. And we're also going to justify this vertically down. So when we add another container, whoops, right below it, it'll stack vertically, right? Because we have this this review box here. So we simply just want to start filling that in right now. So let's start doing that. I'll get a text block here. Let's get another container in as well. And right now it's just kind of stacking a bunch of different things and seeing what we can do with all of it. Let's add another icon there. Okay, cool. This is good for now. Now I want to quickly see what I think it's Zurich is the text. We'll change that, but for now, let's just keep that as is. All right, so I just checked. It's going to be fonts free. It's going to be that. Let's just set this as 140. So what this is going to be, this is going to be the name there. Let's make this, just kidding, this is going to be bold. We also want another container in as well. One thing to note, when you see all these different containers and everything going on, think of all of this as containers within containers. And that's how you want to build this. Just think of them as individual container blocks. I'll show you in a second what I mean. Let's set that vertically. Let's set this to pixel height. Circle. Set this to blue. Let's just get this to be 20 pixels. This is going to be verified customer. Perfect. And let's also get this to be font free. Cool. Now from here, we can set a little gap just to provide some spacing for each of those. We can even set this to be 100. And if anything, if you feel like this is not perfectly straight, what we can do is play around with the padding. And if not, we can always add some padding up top just to kind of clean things up a little bit. Cool. So then we could bring this up here. So as I was saying before, everything is going to fall within the idea of containers within containers. It's like similar to this Russian dolls where there's like a smaller doll within a bigger doll and so on and so forth. That's how you're going to think about building things here inside Replo specifically, or just page builders in general, like no code page builders like Replo, even Webflow is the same way. Just think about little elements within bigger elements. So you see how we have the container 84 that houses both the customer name as well as the verified customer. That's going to house that, right? And then to take that further, just based on what we have here, we're going to have another container that's going to house the reviews, the star reviews. So let's get the star rating here. Get rid of that there. And let's get the color. Boom. And what we can do, because of how it's structured, notice how it's both of these elements are on one side and the star reviews on the other. What we can do is add another container block. Grab both of these here. Perfect. We'll add that same gap that we did before. Let's get this to be 100%. From here, what we can do is spaced. That way it spans the entire width of that container. Right? So now we have the container 86 housing both the customer review as well as the verified customer section here. Super cool. We could just bring this maybe like this. And the same thing as before, we can even add some padding just because it looks like it's not completely centered. That looks good. Now that's going to house everything up to that point. Now what we can do is start adding in this text right here. So what we do, simply just same thing, adding another text block. We could even put this up right there. Let's span this entire width. And then let's just save time and copy and paste this entire thing here. Awesome. We can lower the font size, and I'm not going to play with this too much, so I don't think it's necessary. But you can see everything there. And you'll notice that it has a little container that surrounds that. So what we can do is just add some padding there. Let's add a background. Let's make it white or... Okay, so real quick. Okay, so Okay, we're gonna get the page, or even maybe this section. This entire section, we gotta set the background color, or if I gotta do that. And then we can set the white background there. Perfect. And then we can set borders. Set it at, let's say, 20. Again, that can be changed. And set it like that. And you can see that that's slowly coming together. So now the last thing what we're going to do is go over the 4 value props. Again, same thing. We're going to add another container as we did before. That looks kind of crazy. We're just going to add it right there. We accidentally added another container. Okay. What we can do is we can add a gap in between those three. So we have the first carousel. This is the image carousel. We have the container 82. That's the review. I'll just write all that just to make it easy for us. And then these are going to be the value props. Icons. Cool. So this is super easy. Those are images. From here, what we can do is we have an image and text. So all we're going to need is just grab an image block, and then we'll grab some text right underneath that. And I also want to grab a container to wrap all of those as well. So we'll grab container 87, get those two under. We're going to set this vertically because we want it to be stacked one on top of the other. And from here, I will quickly grab some the icons if I can find it. Cool. Let's set a fixed. Let's make this maybe even a little smaller. And then let's get the text. And from here, what we can do is just simply duplicate all these. Oh, even before that, my bad. I gotta wrap it there, wrap that there, and then let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So we just gotta make sure that we center this, center that. And what we can do is add another gap here. And another thing we can do is add like a mixed or max height, like even setting it like 150 maybe, even 200 is solid. Let's set this as some more spacing there, maybe. And then let's just duplicate all those. Oh wait, shit. Again, there are other ways to do this. Like we can even set this like that. And do it that way. And then just make sure that that is 100% width, or maybe not. Handmade, sustainable, and then the other one was cruelty free. Okay, so this is one thing to note here. So notice how, because this is 2 lines, these are 1 line, we want to stretch it out to make it seem like it justifies up at the top, right? So what you want to do is always make sure that The variable, the thing that's variable, we want to set this as fill available height because the image itself is going to be the same size for all four. But the only thing that's different is going to be the text. So first set the container as fill available height and then the text as fill available height as well. That way, regardless of how high or how long the text is, rather, you can make it congruent with every element, regardless of how long the text is. Beautiful. And you can see that we have all those set up now. Hope that helps. All right, next thing we're going to do is work on the right side of this buy box, title, price, value prop tags, size info pop up, as well as this these tabs right here. And then the part after this will be the actual buy box because it's a little bit complicated. We're going to work on interactions and stuff and states, so we'll save that for after. So let's quickly shorten those up. Let's just say left buy box, and then this is going to be the right. All right, just to make things easier for you, just check all that. So real quick, we're going to start with the reviews up top, right? Typically, you'll have your whatever review app you're using and just slide in that embed section, right? And then just input the code that you need. Or in this case, it's already will be connected to that directly just from the native Replo widgets. If you don't see anything that you have here, just simply use a custom code embed and then you can do it there. If you want to make it manual, you can easily just do that with this. So in this case, I'm just going to do that just to keep things simple and visual for you. 245. I think this is font free. Let's get this to be that. Let's get 18, and then again, let's just add some padding here because I don't like that it's not absolutely centered. All right, that's cool. Next is gonna be Rudy Sands here. Let's just get this to be like that. Awesome. We got the price there, which is great. Now let's just quickly work on the value prop tags. Always, again, use the containers. Let's add another container. Let's add a check or an icon, but it's the same thing as this. So what we're going to do is just steal this entire container just to make things easier for us. But it's the same thing what we did before of just using the icon, setting the specific icon you want, color, justify this horizontally with the text, and as simple as that. And let's get the last one in. All right, cool. Now that we have that, things are kind of shaping up, and you'll notice that the spacing is a bit off, and maybe want this to be bold. Let's say Let's get this. So what we could do is utilize padding and or containers. So I personally like to use containers. Again, there's no one right way to do this. I just like keeping things a little clean with containers. So we can set it something like that. You'll notice that the reviews are closer together with the. So what we could do is set this over here. Whoops. And then do something like that. That way, the reviews and the product title is a little closer, and then everything else is further apart. Cool. Now, the last thing I want to do in this section is just go over these tabs right here. Oh, as well as the pop-up. I forgot the pop-up. So again, let's add another container for the review row because we need to add the pop-up section there. So what you do is simply just add another container. Get those spaced out. And then you'll see that it's like a little tag with an image and text. So what you'll do is just grab that there. And then we'll grab an image as well as a text block. And then from here, we can select that same image that we have. Okay, this is just assuming that we have everything perfect. We can do a fixed, let's do 20. That's good enough. Again, the specifics we're not really too worried about. We're just building out the section itself. Let's just do rem, or maybe let's do percentages. And let's get a gap. There's no one right way to do this. Again, like for the units, the gaps, percentages, it's all preference. I personally like using percentages for padding and rems for gaps, but it's all up to you. There's no one right way to do it. Cool. You see, it's shaping up a little bit, right? And we could even make this bold if we could. Nice. And then let's get some padding as well. All right, now the fun part is doing something like this. Setting up the actual pop-up, right? What you want to do is grab a pop-up. Let's just search it up, save time. Let's add it here. All right, where is it? We can bring this down over here. And then from here, we can just pretty much just design whatever it is. In this case, it's just text, so we can get rid of a lot of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this, honestly. We can use a text box, so let's just grab one of this. Open this back up. Let's grab that. We can do padding as well. And then more text blocks right after. So let's just duplicate that. Set this down. Let's add some padding. These should always be like that. You notice that it's, yeah, so what we have now is a bit shorter, so we can just set the max or the set width. Make this maybe 22. You can make this bold if you want. Let's get another one of those. And the reason why I'm using another container for these is because the spacing is shorter between the title as well as the actual text, the paragraph text. That's why we can add a separate gap here and then add a bigger gap for those, and it starts working out. And if you want to add image like those images, it's super easy. We're going to use positioning. So let's just add an image. I think we used a honeycomb, something like this, right? Let's give it a fixed width, maybe 125. Cool. Let's get positioning, relative container, and then top right, something like that. And you'll notice that even another thing is getting this close box or a close button, a background color, bringing this up relative to that. Let's get rid of the offset as well. We could even make this bigger. To kind of fit over there. Cool. Something like that, right? We don't have to make this perfect right now. And then that image there, same thing. Let's just duplicate it here. Let's change the image. Something like that. And again, same thing, positioning. We're going to set it in the bottom. We're going to have some offsets. So we'll make this percentage, maybe let's say 15% offset. And you can see it slowly coming together like that. Hell yeah. What's next? The tabs. Okay. Again, Replo makes it so easy that we could just use all the native components that Replo provides us. Let's bring that to the bottom. And this one is pretty self-explanatory because it's already preset in Replo. It's just about using it and setting up the actual design of it, right? I think it's benefits, waste, enjoy. Okay. Benefits. I'm not even sure what the things are. It's all good. Okay. We got a border. Let's make this 20. Maybe 10. We also have the default to be a little lighter in opacity. All right, so what we want to do real quick, we want to get this over. Tab block, let's set a gap. Oh, maybe not. Oh, right here. Shit. We're going to have this to be, let's say, 50. Maybe even lighter. Let's make this to be 35. And this will also be pretty gray as well. Maybe, shit. Cool, and then just to make things easier, let's also duplicate those just to make it a little easier. And please don't mind my dog. She thinks she's tough. She's gonna scare something away. Ways to enjoy. Let's also reduce the padding. This is a bit too much padding. ingredients is the last one. Okay, so then what we can do here, once we have those, is set it active. Active is going to be what it looks like when we click on it, right? So what you want to do is same thing that we did before, is just change all of these to the active state. Right? And it's done by hitting the state active, and everything inside that container is going to be what changes. Right? So we should have just copied and pasted those just to make it easier. Ways to enjoy ingredients. Beautiful. This is starting to look really cool. All right, and then from here we can just copy and paste everything that we need to fill in what it is that we need to fill in. And you notice that we have something that drops down. I will show you how to do this real quick. I'm not gonna like completely finish it up, but what you want to do, whoops, is full ingredients. Let's get this underline. Let's get this big. Let's move that. So all you're gonna do is just configure by interactions on click and scroll to URL hash mark. And from here, you're just gonna type in whatever ingredients, and whatever section you want to scroll to, you would just set a URL hash mark. So for example, let's say this product block you want to, oh, maybe this container, you want to configure it with the URL hash mark. You just will type in the exact thing, ingredients, and then from here you can set the custom URL hash mark to scroll to that exact section. Cool. So that's it for this one right here. All right, so now we're going to go over the specific buy box here. And this is going to be the trickiest part of this entire video, which is why I saved it for last, just because I wanted to set everything else up and we can focus on this. So a lot of this is going to have to do with interactions, states, and using the tab components. So Replo makes it super cool because we have so much customization and like freedom of just doing a bunch of different things. We have complete creative control over this. So I'm gonna quickly build this structural integrity, like the layout of it first, and then we'll focus on the actual interactions and states. So again, we'll use the tab component as we always have done, and we'll build out the basic structure first. So I want to quickly add a title. We'll hide this. Waivers. Let's get rid of all padding. And then let's get rid of that. Cool. So I also want to remove, kind of strip away everything. All right, so let's get rid of well, maybe we can keep the background because we need it, right? So let's actually get this to be centered. Let's get this to be the border. I mean. Let's set this to 3. Set this to 10. And let's also add that image as well. Okay, so we might have to add a container here. So this is that. Okay, sometimes you'll see that we have to kind of play around with things just to kind of see how it plays out. Whoops. That looks, I think, good. So then from here, we can just duplicate these. Let's get those out of the way. I think there's columns, right? Okay, so there's 5 columns. So what we can do is set it like this. Use columns. We can have a gap as well as a gap there. And then let's just keep adding more in. I want this to be a little bigger. All right, so I deleted some things because I felt like something off and I forgot to remove the padding here. All right, so then from here we can see, okay, we can get that to 100, we can set that to 60. All these are going to be fill, available width and height. We might even move this down to 50. And this could even maybe move up to 18 depending on, okay, there's some other ones that are bigger. So let's just keep this at 16 for now and then go from there. So let's just duplicate just to fill in the spaces and then go from there. So we have watermelon, peppermint, lemon. I think that's it. Watermelon, peppermint, lemon, strawberry, mango, lime. Mango. Wait, lemon, shit, lime. And then coconut, Mai Tai, passion fruit. Coconut, Mai Tai. Let's get this back to bold. And then passion fruit. I think that's one word. All right, beautiful. Now let's just get these images in. Again, this is not necessary, but I just want to show you just every single step, just so nothing is really missing. You can skip this part of the video too if you feel like it's taking too long. Mango. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now that we have that, what I want to do is close off these, just keep things a little simple. One thing I forgot to do that I'm So mad that I forgot, is setting the active tab, which I always forget to do. It's all good. We'll do that together right now. All right, halfway done. This sucks, but we just gotta do it. We just gotta get through this. All right, now what's next is to set the interactions. And we want to set default states and non-default. So how we want to do this is, so we want to first go to product and set different states here. The first one is going to just be, and each state is just going to be the different variants, right? This is going to set up everything else that comes to follow. We just need to set these first. So let's just go ahead and add in all these states. Cool. All right, so this part is going to be a bit confusing, and we're going to be doing two different things. We're going to be setting two states for two different areas. So, real quick, it's going to all be based on images, and we set different parent states for each of the flavors. And now we want to set the actual images to correspond to each state. So, for example, the default state is the beeswax bomb. For the watermelon, what we want is to set this image to match the watermelon flavor. So let's get it. I think it's this one right here. Watermelon, right? So when we select watermelon, it changes images that way. We're gonna do the same thing for peppermint and all the other flavors moving forward. Peppermint. This might be lemon. Cool. Strawberry, same thing. Mango, we're gonna set that as well. Mine will be set. Coconut. Coconut is good. Mai Tai. And then the last one is going to be passion fruit, which is right there. Awesome. So based on each of these states, it'll correspond to whatever image, right? And we're also going to do that for the carousel indicators as well. But one thing we want to do is just make a note of this one. Let's just write custom carousel image. And from here, we're going to do the same thing. Default is good. Watermelon, we want to set that. The current state is active. We want to change this to watermelon. Where is it? Watermelon. So real quick, let me just test this out real quick just to make sure that we're good. Okay, so it's not. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, so the one thing I forgot was adding states for the carousel images as well. So the same thing that we did for the other variants, we want to do the same thing for the carousel images. And I know this is really tedious. I actually completely forgot to do this as well. I had to look back and check over. But we're going to be setting states for 3 different areas, not 2. And I will go over all of this again after I build this out for you. And if you don't have this many products or variants rather, it's not going to be as complicated. It's just there's 10 different variants, which requires just so much different states and different interactions that we're going to be setting. Cool. So then from here, we can change the different images corresponding to that again as well. So watermelon, peppermint, lemon, strawberry, mango. All right, halfway done with this part at least. I know this definitely sucks, but it's just necessary to create something custom built inside Replo. And I promise the end result is going to look really, really nice. It's just, there's just a lot that has to happen for it to work. Cool. And then the next thing we're going to do is set interactions. I played around with it again just to make sure that it's set, but we want to cover or hover the tab and set 2 interactions. One is going to be activate state for default or product 2 for default. And then the second one is going to be activate state for the custom carousel image and default as well, because default is going to be the beeswax flavor. Right? And the reason why we're setting product 2 is because that's what we set as the states for each of the products that we're using. Right? And then the same thing is going to happen for all of them, but the only difference is going to be each flavor is going to be, or each state is going to be correspondent to that particular flavor. So let me quickly show you how to do it from the start. So interactions, let's do add state. Product 2, peppermint, save. Same thing, activate state. Now we're going to do image, peppermint. Cool. Same thing for the rest of them. Oh, wait a second. This one right here has to be mango. This one is lime. Sorry, there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of rinse and repeat, and it gets tedious and it's really easy to make mistakes or just things to miss. So you want to make sure that we're just on point when I do this. Definitely don't want to rush. I'm just trying to rush through all of these just so we can get to the next part. I don't want you guys to be sitting here waiting, but I appreciate you even making it this far into the video. All right, last one. Awesome. Hell yeah. And then I'll quickly show you that it's going to change each thing, each product image will change and it corresponds to whatever variant. I gotta fix the text color, but let's leave that for now. It's not that relevant. The next thing is gonna be the actual product title. What we want to do is dynamically link it to each thing. So for beeswax, it's set a default for watermelon. What we want to do is set it for watermelon. Peppermint, peppermint. Lemon is lemon. Strawberry is strawberry. Mango, mango. Cool. And then you'll see it changing the product title as well. Beautiful. Cool. So now what's next is going to be the quantity. The quantity packs. This one's going to be a lot easier. Okay, cool. So now that we have that, the next, like I said, the next thing is going to be the options, um, the quantity, and what you want to do is use the option list component inside Replo. So let's just drag that in there, and from here, everything's already preset. So I can quickly show you. Clicking on these, it'll change the corresponding price because it's all dynamic. It makes it easy. Don't have to worry about anything. but we have to set it in a way where it looks like that, right? So let's first grab each container. Let's add another container to it. Maybe add some padding. Maybe let's add padding here. White background. Let's get that there. Cool. I want these numbers to be big and bold, so let's get this to be like 24, maybe even bigger. We could make it like 30. Sure, that's good enough. And then another thing, we want to get a border. 3 is good. I think we have this as 10. Right, yep, 10. Okay, perfect. We also want text right here, right? So what you want to do in this case is use another container just to enclose everything. Let's also get another container. For the flavors, right? Let's add a gap here. Cool. Select your quantity. And from here we could add another text. Let's make this like that. Let's add some padding. Okay, so notice we have to make this dynamic, right? Like 1, 3, 6, 9, and the only way we're gonna have to do this is by using dynamic components. So the pack, the pack is gonna be static. So we need an element to communicate that, but the number itself is going to be dynamic, right? So let me show you real quick what I mean by that. So this right here is going to be dynamic, right? And how you're going to do that is by, I got to find it real quick. Option 1 from the selected variant. That way, when whatever pack is selected, it'll change in correspondence to that. Right? And then the last thing is just going to be the add to cart button. Let's just quickly do this. Let's add another component here, or a container, I mean. Let's just duplicate it. Let's just make it easy. Add to cart. Oh, wait a second. Add to cart. Let's get this to be horizontal. We have it dynamically set as well, right? So what you want to do is let's get this. Oh shit. Let's add that. Let's add spacing in between these. And then what we want to do So you could easily just keep it like this. Let's get this dynamic, selected variant, and price. You could select any one of these, doesn't really matter. So that way, whatever you select, it will dynamically change. I think I have it rounded. Display price. Perfect. Easy as that. Cool. And that's pretty much how you do it. I know this was a bit confusing, so just kind of recap everything. We want to set states for the product, the actual product that we're using, for all the different variants. We want to set the states for the carousel indicator images, right? States for those, and then change it for each corresponding state. So each image has to change for each state. We also want to change the actual tabs, right? For each flavor, right? We're going to manually set this for that. And we're going to set interactions to open up whatever state that we set, right? For the products as well as custom carousel images. And then for the quantities, we're going to use option list. And then for the add to cart, we're just going to use dynamic values. And it's as easy as that. So then to get something like this,